the National Disability Insurance Scheme is in a mess, with rorts and issues pushing the annual taxpayer bill into the billions. And where is the NDIS Minister Bill Shorten? Well, he's off to Switzerland for a Ukraine peace summit. Now, you may be scratching your head thinking, what on earth is the NDIS Minister doing trying to broker peace overseas? Well, it's a question asked by Liberal Senator Dave Sharma, who has penned an opinion piece in the Daily Telegraph today, saying Labor has insulted Ukraine by sending the minister to represent Australia at a global gathering in Europe. And Dave Sharma joins me now. Dave, good to see you. Look, we found out only last week that the NDIS is being rorted by $2 billion a year. Bill Shorten is now swanning about brokering peace for foreign wars, while the issues in his portfolio back home seem to be getting worse. Is this bizarre to you that they've sent him overseas?
It's staggering, Danica, on many levels. I mean, firstly, the National Disability Insurance Scheme, Bill Shorten's creation, Bill Shorten's portfolio responsibility is in crisis. It's rife with fraud, as we learnt at the Senate last week. Its costs are ballooning. It now costs Australia more than Medicare and growing at 20% per year. Unless something is done to put the NDIS on a sustainable fiscal pathway, it'll end up consuming the entire budget. So this should be Bill Shorten's number one priority. But instead, he's going off to Switzerland, freelancing in diplomacy, attending a Ukrainian peace summit, something completely outside his portfolio area of responsibility and, frankly, outside his area of expertise. Where is the foreign minister on this? Why is the National Disability Insurance Scheme minister attending a Ukraine peace summit? It makes no sense. And, frankly, it's an insult to Ukraine to suggest we just don't take their issue seriously.
Well, you're right. And as you said, wouldn't Labor have been better served sending Penny Wong or even Richard Marles? Or should the Prime Minister himself have gone, but certainly not the NDIS Minister?
No, exactly right. I mean, we've got going to this summit the US Vice President, we've got the French President, we've got the German Chancellor, we've got the Ukrainian President. For Australia, the obvious person to send would have been our Prime Minister, our Foreign Minister, our Defence Minister. We've even got an Assistant Foreign Minister, you might not know, Tim Watts. Maybe send him, but surely send someone who has some portfolio expertise and can speak with the authority of the Australian government. But Bill Shorten's completely outside his lane here, going to Switzerland at a time when he should be focused on his portfolio at home. It's just a bizarre decision, and it suggests a government that just doesn't take national security, foreign affairs, or indeed the National Disability Insurance Scheme with the level of seriousness that these issues demand.
Is this a subtle push, do you think, by the Prime Minister to get Bill Shorten to France as the next ambassador? You know, go over to Europe, help Ukraine, and it will set you up for a France posting. Do you think that that's what's going on here?
Well, I mean, I could only speculate that's the case, but I mean, these are serious issues that are being discussed at the Ukraine Peace Summit. Ukraine needs more diplomatic support, needs more weapons, it needs more munition, and frankly, Australia has been far too slow in providing some of the support it needs. So we would be better off, you know, allowing Bill Shorten to get his training wheels on in diplomacy. This is not the exercise in which to be doing it. This is, you know, issues of war and peace where you need to have a serious representative who can speak with the authority of the government. This is not the place to be, you know, getting rid of a political rival, if that's indeed what Anthony Albanese is trying to do.
Now, you wrote about this in your article today too. Minister for Early Childhood Education Anne Ali is heading to Jordan to attend a Gaza humanitarian conference, yet it has nothing to do with her portfolio either. Is this just a case of, well, every minister gets a go at an overseas gig?
Well, it seems it's like a lucky dip. If you're a cabinet minister, you rock up to Anthony Albanese's office, you pull a number out of a hat and you say, well, you're off to Switzerland this week, you're off to Jordan next week. I mean, why do we have a foreign minister if the foreign minister isn't the person representing Australia at these conferences? And the amount of airtime that Penny Wong devotes to the conflict in the Middle East, the war in the Middle East, the situation in Gaza, you know, she speaks about this issue almost more than any other issue. So you'd think if there was a conference dedicated solely to this topic, that she would find her way there. But instead, she's not going. The Assistant Foreign Minister, Tim Watts, is not going. Instead, we've got the Minister for Early Childhood Education. Again, a portfolio area that has nothing to do with the humanitarian needs in Gaza. what's the point? I mean, we should just send our ambassador in the country to attend this conference at a whole lot less expense and someone with more expertise and more authority on the topic.
Absolutely spot on. Dave Sharma, appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.